Okay, so the recording is starting on Zoom. So UTNL coaches, this is recorded. So after the call, I will post it on YouTube, and then you guys can just go ahead and share it with your teams afterwards. So for all of you on Facebook, I see a bunch of comments already popping up. That's great to see, except I'm not going to be able to respond back to them because I literally can't see what you guys are typing. So what I might do is after I'm finished with the call, I'll go through and I'll answer any questions, comments, concerns that you have, address anything else that you want me to address. But I guess we can go ahead and get started. Again, welcome to all you guys on the Zoom chat. Welcome to all of you on the Facebook Live feature, which is pretty freaking cool in my opinion. So, all right. So why did I choose the topic of conquering your fears? There's been a lot of things that I've gone through in my life, and I'm going to share a bunch of stories with you here in a little bit. But I used to be that kid I used to fear a lot of things. Okay, and how I wanted to open this call, I was really thinking about this all day. I wanted to make sure that I explained fear perfectly. And the first thing that came to mind, and this might be a little cheesy, okay, so bear with me for a moment. But there's one quote that sticks with me and stuck with me as soon as I heard it about fear. And it is so spot on. And what is that quote? It's from the sci-fi movie After Earth. You guys know what I'm talking about. You might have seen it with Will Smith, okay? And I'm going to read this to you because it is the most perfect definition of fear that I've come across. All right, so fear is not real. The only place that fear exists is in our thoughts of the future. It is a product of our imagination, causing us to fear things that do not at present and may not ever exist. Okay? And the first time I heard this quote, I thought it was the coolest thing ever. And, I've watched a lot of stuff from Will Smith in the past, and I don't know if you guys have watched interviews from him, but I love him because he's super, super inspirational. He's a very smart person. Not just a great actor. He's a very smart person, and he's super successful. And it's very obvious why he's super successful. And really, I feel that this might have been a quote from him personally. That was put into the movie. So I thought it fit perfectly to open up this. And where I'm going with this, fear, guys. Fear is something that we all create. Okay, we all create in our minds, and it's a fear of something that hasn't happened yet. So what I want you to do right now is I want you to stop for a second, and I want you to think about all of the things that you fear. And ask yourself, is this something that you fear is going to happen, or did it actually happen to you? And 99.9% of the time, you fear something that you think is going to happen. But most of the time, it doesn't happen. Okay, so the reason why I held this team call was because on Monday, for those of you who are TNL coaches, by the way, you Facebook people, TNL is short for Team Next Level. Okay, it's my team of thousands and thousands of coaches. I love my team. But on Monday, I asked the coaches, I said, listen, guys, I want you to put down the top thing that you fear most in this business. So what is it that scares you? And I thought I would get a few comments here and there. My whole idea was to just create a few video responses and post them in the TNL group, but I got about 100-something comments. And it showed me and it helped me realize that, okay, this is a legit issue that we have on our team. There's a lot of people that have legitimate fears. And trust me, guys, today, as I'm preparing my notes for this call, I'm going through and I'm reading through these fears and I'm like, these are good, man. I mean, these are all things that at some point or another I faced. Currently, you guys are facing them, obviously. And, a lot of you guys, it's actually held you back from being successful, whether it's with your fitness or whether it's with your business as a Beachbody coach. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to talk about fear. I'm going to address how to conquer your fear. Obviously, that's the name of the call tonight. This is going to be a really good call. I'm going to try to keep it to 30 minutes. But I want to start out by talking about one of my biggest fears that I used to have. And this is really interesting. A lot of you guys might find it kind of comical just because of how much I currently speak. But I had the biggest fear of public speaking. I mean, no joke, guys. I mean, I'm talking, and there was a few examples I want to share with you. I remember back so really, we got to back up a long way here. I was bullied in school. Okay, so I was bullied for a lot of years, and I think it led to some self-confidence issues, but it led to me feeling like I was being judged every time I would speak in front of the class, or whether I would be talking to someone on the phone or speaking in public, like literally public speaking in front of a group of people. Sort of like this. And I remember specifically, there was one time in college I was taking a communications class, and trust me, I tried my damnedest to get out of this class because I knew how uncomfortable it would be for me. Because what did they do? The whole class was obviously speech and communication, and they wanted us to get in front of the class and present things. And I was super uncomfortable, and it was to the point for me to where I feared public speaking so much that for probably 3 or 4 days before I had to present to the class, I would literally just become sick. I'd become just shaky, stressed out. And I'm not kidding. I'm not talking about like sick as in throwing up. I'm talking, I was so stressed out that I made myself physically ill. Which is really interesting. And a lot of people go through things like that. Okay. And I get it. I get it because I used to be there. But I remember getting up in front of the class, and the whole time I'm sitting there, I'm thinking about one thing. I'm thinking of multiple things. I'm thinking, I don't want these people to judge me. I don't want to embarrass myself. And I don't want to forget my words. And the entire time I'm sitting up here and getting ready to present, that's all I'm thinking about, to the point to where these thoughts, these negative thoughts, just literally consume my mind. Okay? So all I'm thinking about is messing up. And you know what happened? I messed up. Because those thoughts were just they were controlling me. And it was just, it was awful for me. It was an awful experience for me. And I swore I never wanted to ever get in front of a class. I never wanted to present to anyone. I never wanted to public speak ever again. And it was funny because not too long afterwards, I took a marketing class and I had to present to the Red Cross. Okay. And I'm just, man, I am so freaking nervous at this point. And on the way there, I literally got in a wreck, and I kid you not, I was excited because I'm like, now I don't have to go in and present, right? But it just so happened that we could get my car to the ditch. I drove back and I had to present. It was awful. It was super nerve-wracking, guys. And these are just the things that I've gone through. And the reason why I'm sharing this is because I want you to know that I have been there before, right? You wouldn't know by watching me now or seeing me speak publicly now. These things don't bother me anymore. I don't get nervous. I don't get stressed out or any of that because I've done it so many times, which I'll get to in a little bit. And then we get into Beachbody, okay? And it got to the point to where I knew that if I really wanted to take my Beachbody business to another level, and really pay attention, coaches, because this is really important. If I wanted to take myself to another level in the business, I had to force myself to do the things that I feared most. Think about that. I'm going to repeat that because it's super important. If you want to succeed in this business, and I know there's a lot of people out there that are, not Beachbody coaches, that's okay. If you want to succeed, you have to face your fears head on. Okay? So I was that guy who, I remember, you guys know Tommy Migrant. He's a great friend of mine, success partner of mine. And I remember going to the Columbus Game Plan event, and I asked Tommy, I said, man, I really don't want to do this, but can I get on stage in front of this group, and can I share my story? And I didn't want to do it, man. I was so nervous. I was scared to death. And Tommy's like, yeah, man, of course. I look up to Tommy. I respect Tommy. He's a great speaker. So I'm sitting there and I'm like, oh my God, I'm just gonna make a fool of myself. I walk up on, well, first of all, I'm sitting in the seat. And I'm literally just like, I'm almost to the point where I just want to leave because I feel so sick to my stomach. I just want to walk out of the room. I don't even want to come back in. I want to skip it all together. And I sat there and I said to myself, Josh, you have to do this for yourself. You have to face this fear of yours. I walked up on stage. I messed up big time. But you know what? I did it. And afterwards, I said, you know what? Like, it wasn't really that bad. And it wasn't bad. So I decided that I was going to do it again. I got up on stage, shared my story. I did it again and again and again. I forced myself to do calls like this in front of groups of people because it's the same thing, guys. I mean, yeah, you don't have the people physically sitting in front of you, but they're all watching, right? You guys are all watching me speak right now. It's the same thing. So I forced myself to get in front of people and speak. And I did it over and over and over and over and over and over again. We're 8 years into being a Beachbody coach. I'm to the point now to where you guys see I don't have an issue speaking in front of you. Honestly, I love speaking now. I'm actually speaking again at the men's event. They asked me to close the whole event out again, and I'm super excited about it. Man, before I would be super nervous. Action cures fear. Okay? Action cures fear. I wrote down 3 other things that go along with that, though. Not only does action cure fear, but knowledge, experience, and belief, also known as self-confidence, cures fear. So a lot of people have the fear of not knowing everything, not knowing all the answers. Let's say you're a Beachbody coach, right? And this is actually something I was going to get to in a little bit. I'll just address it now. They fear not having all the answers, right? So you might get on the phone with someone who wants to become a coach, and you fear them asking you something that you don't know. So what happens? Because you sit there and you fear that these things are these things are going to happen, you're going to be stuck in a situation to where you both are super uncomfortable. There's some silence there. You don't get on the phone. So fear causes inaction. In order to get beyond that, and here's what you got to understand too, to go along with that. Okay, so I want to make sure I say this the right way because I want to make sure that I'm getting my point across, you know, to kind of relate to everybody that's on the call, not just Beachbody coaches too, okay? And this is a little tricky because it's the first time I've ever done it. You got to understand that you're not going to know the answers all the time, okay, guys? I don't know the answers all the time. I'm 8 years into being a Beachbody coach, and I don't know all the answers all the time. There are some times where I get on the phone or I get on a Zoom call or I'm on chats like this. I'm doing my leadership calls every Wednesday, and someone asks me a question, and I say, you know what, guys? Like, it's okay. I don't know. Like, seriously, I don't know the answer to that, okay? But I can tell you this. I will find out. I will find out the answer for you, and I'll get back to you about it. There's nothing wrong with doing that. Okay. And that's the same thing. You guys who are coaches and you have your customers and they approach you about like diet and supplement questions or, you know, workout questions. And maybe it's something that you don't know. Don't pretend that you know it. Like if you don't know it, just say, listen, man, like, I don't know. I've never done that before, but I'll tell you what, I know a lot of people who have done that. I will get back to you about this. Okay. So all I'm getting to with that again is if you want to get over that fear, you have to take action. Force yourself in that situation. And the thing is, and it's really interesting because the longer that you do it, the longer that you're a Beachbody coach, the longer, and whether you're in, you know, another business or a management position or whatever you're in, the longer that you're in that position, the more questions that you're going to get. And you're going to eventually get to the point to where you're going to get every question. You're going to just hear repeat questions. Okay. So I'm as a coach, 8 years, I've heard it all. Like I literally have almost heard it all. Anytime someone gets on the phone with me, I know what questions they're going to ask me before they ask me because I've heard it so many times, right? But it's taken me thousands of phone calls to get to that point. Understand that. So that leads to the other thing, experience. You have to have knowledge, right? You have to have knowledge, and that cures fear, but you have to have the experience too. And the only way to gain experience is by doing it over and over again, by taking action. Constantly doing the things that you fear most. Action cures fear. Action leads to experience. Experience leads to confidence and belief in yourself and what you're talking about. Remember something. When you're confident in yourself, others are confident in you. If you're not confident in yourself or your abilities, whether it's a leader, whatever it is, as a coach, as a manager, as an owner of a company, if you're not confident, others will not be confident in you. So how do you cure fear? Action, knowledge, experience, and belief. You combine those things, and obviously this all stems from you facing your fears head on. You constantly do these things, and you're going to see results, and you're going to start getting better, and you're going to start getting more comfortable, and you're going to start getting more confident. And then all of a sudden, everything else follows. But you see so many people, I see so many people, and I love my dad because, he's taught me so many great lessons, my mom too. He said, fear causes hesitation, and hesitation causes your biggest fears to come true. And that's always something that's stuck with me, and it's so right. Because my fear of public speaking on getting on stage, it caused me to hesitate to where I really never even did it, or I didn't do it very often. And when I did get on stage, I wasn't good. So I had to keep doing it over and over and over again. So I've taken that concept and principle and I've applied it to every single thing in my life. So what I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to go through and address some of your fears that you guys wrote down. And hopefully, I know all you Facebook people, I know we only have like 8 minutes left in this thing. You Zoom people, we have a little bit longer than that. I might try to restart. I don't know yet. We'll see. But I might even have to break this up into 2 parts and maybe do the next part next week because there's a lot of stuff I still want to go through. But I want to get through this because it's really important to me. So just bear with me. I know it's important to you guys. I'm going to ask you guys something. And this kind of goes along with the public speaking example that I just shared with you. How many of you fear being judged and fear of being embarrassed? Like it's awful, right? Because you sit here, and let's use right now as an example. I can sit here, and maybe some of you are judging me. That's okay, right? Maybe some of you aren't. I can sit here and I can let that get to me. I can let my mind keep going, saying, holy shit, man, these people are like, they're judging me right now. Oh my God, maybe I'm saying the wrong things. Or I can say, you know what? I don't care, man. Like, you can judge me all you want. But here's the important thing to remember. I'm doing this because I believe in this. I'm doing this because I want to help people. So if I have 100 people on the call and 99 judge me, but one person says to me afterwards, something you said resonated with me. Thank you. You literally just helped me. Then I'm content. So when I get on calls or when I get on stage and I'm speaking to people or I'm talking to people on the phone or Zoom chats, I mean, I just don't care, man. Like, people can judge me and it's okay to me. I'm totally all right with it. It doesn't bother me one bit. It used to, it doesn't anymore. Because again, I know what I'm talking about. I know my belief. I know what I'm doing is to help people. I know what I do as a Beachbody coach is to help people, right? I know what I do as a leader is to help develop leaders on my team. So that's why I hold leadership calls. I'm trying to help people. My goal and mission in life is not to make money. And if that's your mission, yes, money leads to freedom. We talked about that before. You're not going to be happy, man, in the end, I promise you. True happiness comes from fulfillment. So everything that I do is with the intent of giving back, of helping people. And because I have that mentality going into this, there might be some people who don't agree with what I say, or it doesn't resonate with what I say, but there are some people who will. And that's what I want. So those of you who fear embarrassment, stop worrying about what other people think, man. Like, who cares? Is it affecting you what they think? No, not at all. Stop worrying about it. I want to move on to something else. How many of you fear failure? And I hope you all are raising your hands, seriously, because I'm reading through your comments on the TNL page, and I would say at least 50% of the fears have to do with failure. They fear failure. This is such a big one, guys, because I was that guy who also feared failure. I'm gonna share with you guys a little example, and this is such a good one. I've shared this on so many team calls. I'm a baseball player, right? And I grew up playing baseball for a lot of years. I think it was 18, 19 years. I played in college, but I remember specifically when I was 15 years old, and I'm at a baseball game. You know, during it was a summer league, and I walk up to the plate. And I swing 3 times and I miss, and my phone just fell. That's not what really happened in the game, but my phone just literally fell. Hold on, guys. I knew this thing wouldn't work the way I wanted it to. All right, I think we're good now. All right, we good. Okay, so we're good. You know, so can you Zoom people see me okay? Okay, cool. So I walk up to the plate and I whiff 3 times in a row and I strike out. And it just ate me alive, man. It ate me alive. And the entire time, after I struck out, I go to the bench and then I go out in the field and all I could think about was striking out again. Like, man, I don't want to strike out again. The one thing I don't want to do is strike out again. So I go up to the plate with the mentality that I'm going to strike out again, and guess what happens? I strike out again. I feared striking out again, and my fear caused my biggest fear to come true. And it just ate away at me. It progressively ate away. I think I struck out 6, 7, 8 times that game, and I got benched afterwards. Okay? 4 minutes to the end of the live video on Facebook. I'll start it again. But, you know, it's all I kept thinking about is that I'm going to fail. And it affected me, and it got to me so much, right? And that was when, and I'm going to make this really short, but that was when my dad introduced me to the book, The Magic of Thinking Big, right? He said, son, he came up in my room, he said, son, you're going to read this because this book will change your life. And I read that book, and he said, I want you to pay close attention to the chapter on fear and the chapter on fear of failure, because that is exactly what you're going through right now. And I was that guy who I did fear failure. And it was causing me to struggle because all I kept thinking about was, I don't want to fail again. And I read The Magic of Thinking Big, and you know what it taught me? It said, you have to get to the point to where you accept that failure is going to happen. Guys, you're going to fail, and you're going to fail a lot. But remember what I said in the beginning. the fear causes you to hesitate, and the fear causes you to not take action. So because you fear failure so much, maybe it's as a Beachbody coach, maybe it's as a leader, maybe it's as a manager, a business owner, because you fear failure so much, you never take action. It just debilitates you, man. You're destroyed. You have to get to the point to where you can look at, you can say, you know what? I can't wait to fail, man. Like, I'm excited to fail. And I'm saying that because I am at that point to where I know a failure is a stepping stone to success for me. I have 1 minute, 58 seconds. I know that failure is a stepping stone to success. So instead of fearing failure, I got to the point to where I started accepting failure. I accepted that it was going to happen in my life. And once I made that mental transition from fearing failure to accepting failure and looking forward to failure and smiling in the face of failure, then my life changed right before my eyes. It's the reason why I had so much success as a Beachbody coach. It's the reason why I created a 6-figure income in 1 year. Because I looked forward to failure, guys, and trust me, I'm 8 years into a Beachbody coach. I've failed probably 10,000 something times as a coach. I am still failing to this day, but there's a big difference between me and a lot of other people. I don't fear it. I know it's going to happen. I'm like, bring it on, man. You know why? Because it teaches me what I have to change. When I fail, I have to make adjustments. And I always do. And I make quick adjustments. I make adjustments, and it leads me to success. So contrary to what most people believe, I got 30 seconds. Contrary to what most people believe, success is not a straight line. If you look at my journey to success, it is like small success, massive failure, small success, massive failure, small success, massive failure. And it just stays along that path. But I keep moving up. I keep moving up. And you guys on Facebook, you guys are done. All right, so they're done, okay? You guys on Zoom, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to end it here because I do want to do this again, and there's a lot of things I still want to cover. You guys have, I literally wrote down about 20 fears that I want to address, okay? So what we'll do is next week I'm not gone. I'm traveling next Sunday, but next week on Thursday, I will have part 2 of the fear series. Does that sound good? But I really sincerely hope that you paid attention to what I was saying and you start applying what I was saying. You guys fear a lot, right? We all fear a lot. If you want to move forward in life, not just business as a Beachbody coach, but if you want to be successful in everything from your relationships to your job, to everything, you have to learn how to conquer your fears. You have to face your fears head on. So again, I hope you guys enjoyed it. Next Thursday, 8 o'clock Eastern time, we'll do another one. I have this recorded. I'm going to stop the recording here in a second, and then I'll send the recording to you guys here in a little bit in TNL. You guys can share it with your teams. I think it was a good call. So I'll talk to you guys soon. See ya.